Hi, Margaret. I had this very peculiar idea last night.
Oh, really, Arthur? Tell me about it.
Well, as I lay there in bed, it seemed to me that this world we inhabit could be no more than a whole lot of ideas floating around in our minds.
Crikey, Arthur, how could that be?
Well, consider this, Margaret. Let's take any old physical object from the world. This desk in front of us, for instance. Could you please describe how this desk appears to you?
Well, Arthur, it's grey. It's quite hard and solid. It's got a rounded edge. And it looks to be about 5 feet long.
Great. So, that's interesting, isn't it? When you describe the appearance of the table, everything that you told me about it comes down to a sense experience that you have of it. Its shape, its colour, its hardness, how long it is. They're all things that you experience as a sense experience through your senses. Would you say these sense experiences belong to you, or would you say they're sort of independent parts of the physical world? But before you answer, consider this. Consider how a bat might experience that table. Bats tell, that there are physical objects near them by sending out a sound and hearing the echo.
Mm-hmm.
So, say the shape of the table would sort of be a whole lot of echoes to the bat. Or think about how someone who experienced colour differently from you. So someone that experienced dark colours that you experience as dark, they experience them as light. How would they experience the colour of the table? Or the solidity of the table? Imagine if you were a little, some minute thing, a little electron maybe, that could have experiences. You might be able to pass right through that table, so you wouldn't experience it as solid at all. So when you describe the table as it appears to you to me, do you think those sense experiences that you gave me are your own experiences, or that they somehow independent of you?
I see what you're getting at, Arthur. Your point is that when I think about it, my experience of the table is entirely composed of the sensory ideas I have in my mind about what the table is like.
That's it, Margaret. That's the thought I had. But then I thought, well, so we could say that the table as it appears to you is entirely composed of sensory ideas. And since ideas only exist so long as there's someone who's having those ideas, we could conclude that the table as it appears to you is entirely dependent on there being a mind that has the ideas that you're having about it.
Yeah, that seems right.
So the table as it appears to you is a mind-dependent entity.
It does seem to be, Arthur.
Now here's the wacky bit, Margaret. I was thinking about the physical things that we deal with day to day in the world, and it seemed to me that these things appear to me, that when these things appear to me, I'm directly aware of them as they actually are.
How do you mean, Arthur?
Well, consider this. When you see a desk or a TV, when you see a desk on the TV or in a movie, you wouldn't say you're directly aware of the desk, would you?
No, I would say I'm seeing an image of the desk projected onto a screen.
Well, it seemed to me that when I see a physical object, as it appears to me in day-to-day life, a bus coming down the street, for instance, it's not like there's a screen in my head that the bus appears on. Then I look at the screen and see the bus. It doesn't feel to me as though I see a silhouette or some sort of projection of the bus. It feels like I see the bus right there. It's directly apparent to me, without any intermediary, without any screen or anything, and I just see it as it is.
I get the idea, Arthur. You're saying that the objects of the physical world are directly present to us in experience, and are as we generally experience them to be.
That's it, Margaret, right on. But remember, just before we agreed that the objects of the world appear to us as mind-dependent entities, as collections of sensible ideas.
We did, so what of it?
Well, if we put these two together, the objects of the world are just as we experience them to be, and we experience these objects as mind-dependent entities, sensible ideas, aren't we forced by logic to conclude that the objects of the world are mind-dependent entities? They are no more than collections of sensory ideas. We exist in a world of ideas.
Well, Dr. O'Neill, I'm not sure I like that conclusion of yours. I just bought a new car and I wouldn't want to think I paid all that money just for a bunch of ideas.
But you've got to admit, my argument looks pretty bulletproof, Margaret. Maybe you just have to accept the conclusion's true, no matter how much you personally dislike it.
Gee, well, the deductive steps we followed all seem to be pretty valid. I don't think I can get out of your conclusion there, but the conclusion seems so crazy. I mean, why then are our ideas so regular in their appearance? Why is my car always there and always the same shape and colour whenever I go and look at it? Hey, and hang on a second, if I'm not looking at my car and no one else is either, if it's only a collection of ideas in the mind, is it there at all when no one sees it?
I agree, Margaret. That's why I said my thought was so intriguing. It seems to lead to a lot of very counterintuitive consequences, doesn't it?
It sure does. Let's look over the various propositions we agreed on as you constructed your argument. I think the argument must be unsound because we made a mistake in accepting one of your premises.
Okay, well, let's go through the premises. The first one was all the immediate objects of our thoughts are no more than combinations of possible sensible ideas.
Not too bad.
Seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble thinking of an experience of an object that doesn't involve sensory ideas. The next one was ideas only exist insofar as there's someone whose ideas there are. Ideas are mind-dependent entities.
Well, I can't see any arguments against that, really.
Yeah, it'd be funny to say, you know, there's an idea of a cat in this room, but nobody's having it, isn't it?
Yeah,
It doesn't
crazy.
seem, yeah. So the last one, the third one, is the one that we'd have to object to if we're going to get out of the argument. Yeah. The third one is the objects of the physical world are directly present to us in our experience, and they are as we generally experience them to be.
Yeah, well, I can kind of think of an example where they're not as we experience them to be. The
Great!
objects of our-
A counter-example.
Yes.
To that.
If you're looking down from a building and you see people walking by below, you might see hats and the edges of a coat, and you kind of work out or infer that there must be people in them, but actually all you're seeing is hats and coats.
Great. So that's a counter-example because you're saying sometimes in experience you aren't directly aware of the object of experience. You just infer the object of experience from something else.
Yeah.
So you think that might be the case a lot of the time. So when you see the desk, you're not actually directly aware of the desk. You infer it from your sense experiences. Gee, that's a pretty solid objection you've got there. Maybe I don't have to believe that it's only ideas. Maybe your car is really there, independently of any mind.
Well, I think you could think of a lot of reasons why maybe that the hats and coats are still based on sensory ideas, though. So there's a lot of you could go into. We could spend hours talking about this.
We could. And it seems to me that if you start saying that our knowledge of the world is all by inference, we never directly experience anything in the world, we only infer it from sense data, there's always the possibility then that maybe we're always wrong.
Unfortunately, it would seem to be so.
So either we live in a world of ideas, or else we could live in a world where we're wrong about everything.
Scary.
Okay.
Have to take
Bye,
this up
Margaret.
another time.